Alright, so today is the 10 minute speaking. Let's start it. So, what advice do you have for college graduate? So, I don't want to apply for a job at Solar City or Tesla or SpaceX. And if not, then if it doesn't work for whatever reason, then apply to jobs at other companies in that arena or try studying a company. If you study engineering and you figure out how to design new things, then it's relatively easy to start a company. Just need to get a few like-minded people with you. Actually, to say that the website business is quite hard to start a company in space business because such a capital-intensive business. So it may be better to do something in solar power, or you're gonna do it in cars. Use a kind of content component supplier for cars or something like that. Most have college degrees in business and physics. But SpaceX is first venture in aerospace. How did you get to anticipate the chief technology of rocket harmony? Well, I do have a physics background that's helpful as a foundation. And then I read a lot of books and have a lot of smart people don't need to follow the change. May have heard me say, it's a good thing the channel of physics approach offers principles, which is rather than reasoning by analogy, about things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine, you can reason up from there. This is a good way to figure out if something really makes sense. It's just what everybody else is doing. It's hard to think that way. You can't think that way about everything. It's just all effort. But you're trying to do something, but the best way to think. And this framework was developed by physicists to figure out concept thing to like quantum mechanics. So it's really powerful method. And I was know what is the one thing that has surprised about you about your life. I simply surprised about the whole thing. Honestly, it's better to be for any of these things to happen. Honestly, um, yeah, I just I know what to be involved in technology, and in fact, the reason I started a company back in '95 because internet company was because I couldn't get any job. There were only a few internet companies and I couldn't get the job. Couldn't get a job at any of them. I took a job at Naspace and I changed my resume and checking out in the lobby, but it was too sign to talk to anyone. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I will start because I can get a job anywhere. Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm fearless. In fact, I think I feel fear quite strongly. But if the if we're doing isn't what if we're doing things important enough, then I just override the fear. So if it's not thoughts I don't fear, I feel like much stronger than I would like. So that is the um, 5 second advertisement. They also tend to overweight growth on personal level. So more tax to pay and quit those support. As you learn of to deviate from your job. And then well, how you're doing with your family and what and pay the rent. That's untenable. But let's just say you're young and just coming out of college or coming out of high school or whatever. What do you? What do you risk? You're not gonna staff. I mean, it's really certainly not in any kind of modern economy. It's so easy to earn enough money just to live from where I eat food. I don't know what other people what they're afraid of, but I'm mostly afraid of failure. I think people should be less quick at first. Then there's not much at risk. what is it, the education like basically downloading data and algorithm into your brain. And it's basically actually amazingly bad in conventional education. It's going to be like this huge short level you can have gradually the process of learning, the better, the better. It was a sort of like slight technical process because we're trying to figure out what does it mean, what is the possible things. And I come to the conclusion that if we can advance the knowledge of a world, that if we do things that expand the scope and the scale of consciousness, then we better able to ask the right questions, become more elegant in it, and that's really the only way forward. What drives you? What is it when you wake up in the morning? To see a problem, you want to solve it? The thing that surprised me is that I want to be able to think about future and feel good about that. So that, we can to have a future be as good as possible. To be inspired by what's likely to happen and to look forward to the next day. So that what really drives me. So it's to figure out how do we make sure that things are right. And also that's the underlying principle behind Tesla and SpaceX. Is that I think is pretty important. Important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matter if it happens sooner or later. Now it's about helping make life multi-planetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo and ultimately make contribution to life becoming multi-planetary. Let's talk about it more about that. I think everyone is very interested that when you say making life multi-planetary, yeah, that's exciting. It is exciting. So what's your vision there? I think particularly for Americans, if you think about it, America is the nation of explorers. People come here from other parts of the world that choose to give up the norm, give up on in favor of the unknown. Um, so I think exploration by the United States is a distillation of a human spirit of exploration. And so that's why it appeals to Americans so much. You know, you can see this when there's certainly tragedy and so many people died. That's terrible, but a lot of people die all the time. But why do we care so much? Because for the dream of exploration, they were dying along with those people. That's why. When I thought about what Textile as who failed at the beginning, you thought, yeah, sure. Really? Of course. Then I still put on the money in there. I expected to lose it, and well, technically, what I thought was, well, I take all the money from PayPal, and if I lose half of it, that's okay. Um, but of course, the colonies encounter difficulties, and then I have a choice of either like the left to colony die, or put all the money into the companies. And so, if you don't want the companies to die, so put all the money in the companies. Yet I had to borrow money from friends to pay living expenses. Yes, just looking for evidence of exceptional ability. And if you were track record of exceptional achievement, then it's likely that we continue into the future. What it really depends on the stakes. Is that high is if it's really important. then one should then overcome the fear and just do it anyway. Um, Honestly, I mean, I just try over fears, but I feel the fear is kind of annoying. I wish I didn't. But every time I feel this less. Oh, well, I wish I feared it. I feared less. Okay, so this is the end of this. Um, uh, so this is the end of this. I mean, okay, so this is the end of this 10 minute speaking for today. Right, bye guys. See you in the French and the 30 minute speaking.